watching Choppin' It Up with Roger Cador and Perry White.
Bright and early on a Monday. It is a new week, and so you know what that means. It's a new episode of Chopping It Up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White. I am Perry White, my man right here, Roger Cador, and the neurosurgeon on the board over here, Garrett Edgerson. The name, that's the title Coach is giving him. Coach, why are you giving him the neurosurgeon?
Well, the thing he does here is very few people in the world can do it. Well, in Baton Rouge. So, you know how hard it is to find a neurosurgeon in the whole world. So he's in that class.
No, I don't. You know, was talking about it. I don't have many friends that are doctors. I think I know. Well, this guy I went to school with. We were classmates. Stephen Bryden. He's now a cardiovascular doctor and just opened up a clinic back home in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. He went and studied at Wake Forest and got his research and came back to be a doctor, man. Could you, if you was not a coach, and you wanted to pursue something in life, what do you think you would have pursued?
Don't ask me. I don't know.
Yeah, for real. I mean, you did get a degree, but outside of sports, what if life would have been like for Roger Cador without the sport?
I really don't know.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't be the same thing it is with sports. But I think I was going to go into, I got a physical education degree. I would have probably venture into coaching anyway because I would have gone to the high school system and become a teacher, and you'd become a physical education teacher, which could lead you into coaching. Everything happened so quickly for me, so unassuming as it relates to coaching. I was about to go to get married and go to South Carolina when the basketball opportunity presented itself. I didn't even pursue it. It came and found me. And just like the baseball opportunity, I did not pursue it. As a matter of fact, I turned them down for 6 weeks from taking the job before I ended up being convinced to take the job. So what has happened to me in coaching wasn't because I pursued it. It went after me.
You know, it's interesting because you were about to leave, go to South Carolina, you stayed, but nonetheless, the journey. A lot of people, before you even get that collegiate opportunity, you have to go through a process of probably coaching on a lower level and work your way up. But you had an opportunity early on where you kind of, that was skipped. You had an opportunity early on just to go straight into the college ranks.
Yeah, it's amazing how this thing really happened. And like I said, when the coach came looking for me, he said, I fired 2 people to hire you, and you're going to outwork both of them. I can't use the exact words he said. I'm not going to use them on the air, but he said, you're going to outwork both of them son of a guns. That's the best way I could put it.
And that you did, huh?
Well, he knew something about my work ethic, obviously, because things really worked out. I had a burning desire to be successful. And I knew something that I didn't know I knew, that I knew talent. I didn't know that because I had never put it to work. That was never, you got me?
It's like in the music world, somebody can have an ear for music. Somebody can have like in the video world, somebody can have an eye like the neurosurgeon
like
here.
Yeah. For instance. It's just amazing how I was able to identify talent that other people were missing. And then when I got into baseball, the same thing happened. Identifying talent after talent, so easy. And I remember my college coach, Emory Hine, once saying, he could tell a player by the way he walked. That stuck with me. That stuck with me when he said that he could tell if a kid could play by the way he walked. Well, there are certain things people do if they can do something. You got me? And there are certain things they do if they can't do it. So it's not that difficult. Like God didn't make life difficult. He said either you do the right thing or the wrong thing. He only gave you 2 choices.
Yeah.
You didn't have to. He didn't put 100 things in front of you to pick one to make the decision. Only gave you two, the right one and the wrong one.
Speaking of God, Edwin Moore in the chat said Coach was running from his calling like Jonah in the Bible.
Oh, really? There you see that? I was running from my calling. There you go. And here, I didn't even see him writing that, but it is the way it is. And finally, things really worked out. I put in 36 years, 37 years of coaching. That's a lot of coaching.
It is. That's longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and touch a lot of good kids. And my biggest thing was I had feeling for kids that maybe wasn't as talented, that were good people though, and was a very integral part of the program. I've always was like that. And when they forced me into that 35-man roster, I knew I was over with because I always like to keep a lot of kids because they could get better. That's how my program kept being successful, is that I kept a lot of kids.
Did you run it like what they would say, like a farm league? What was your system?
Minor league system.
What was your system as a coach that ultimately became successful, that stood out for you?
It's simple. We did the same thing literally every day. It was a simple process. I knew that when I went to Pro Bowl, we didn't do a lot of fancy stuff that people maybe think they're doing Pro Bowl. You got me? I just brought the things we did there and did them at Southern.
Can I tell you a funny story? So one of your former players, I'm not going to out him, but he's a really good friend of mine, and he likes you a lot. He said, man, all Cador used to tell us is run faster.
Well, I used to tell him to run fast. No, he didn't. To run fast, you have to run fast. See, a lot of things, people don't understand that. If you're going to run fast, you have to
run fast.
Simple stuff.
That is as simple as it get, Coach.
And I kept things as simple as possible because 99% of them could really grasp what I'm saying when I keep it simple. And I used to tell them all the time that 1% of the guy who can go above that, I can teach him separate. But for 99%, we got to teach in the mass so everybody could understand.
No doubt.
And this is why a lot of coaches miss the boat. They get too fancy. They want to, and they forget all of those kids ain't going to understand that stuff. Stay with the simplicity. It always worked. It always worked. And the key is for kids to enjoy success. If they enjoy a measure of success, then you can really challenge them and work hard. Get them to work harder. See, if they're not enjoying success, you can't ask them to do too much because they're feeling they're missing out. So I pretty much understood that part of it from being an assistant basketball coach because the guy was brilliant. And he was always putting stuff on the kids that they couldn't understand because he was brilliant. You got me? And one day I told him, I said, Coach, they're not going to be able to execute that in the game. I said, they're struggling doing the simple thing. And he never answered me because in his mind, he was brilliant and he felt everybody else should be able to understand that stuff he was putting out there. Ain't going to work that way.
Do this for me, because you remember the last time we did a show, I saw someone make a post on social media, and it was saying how when they were a kid, Southern had these great role models of men like yourself, Dr. Isaac Greggs, Ben Joe, Pete Richardson, and so many others. I don't want to keep naming and forget everybody, but for you, go through and talk to me about some of the legendary mentors and coaches and guys that, including yourself, that was around Southern University that was instrumental in terms of developing character, bringing in talent, but then being household names where people in the community loved them and came to Southern to see them.
Well, things were different when I was coming through. There was no putting your arms around someone's shoulder. It was tough. You had to go out and execute things and get things done. And everything was tough love, to be honest with you. And because it was so many good athletes, they could afford to run people off. And that's really what some of them were doing. I really think when I look back, and I had that conversation with one of my former teammates, that because we had some coaches who lack the understanding of compassion.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't achieve all of the things they could have achieved
Mm-hmm.
because they lacked compassion. They always went one way, all kill a gnat with a sledgehammer. That doesn't work for everyone. And that's the kind of stuff, except for Dick Mack, my first basketball coach at Southern, he didn't have that attitude. He was a kind, loving man. But everybody else, man, those guys were. You could really talk to. You couldn't talk to them. Everything was about winning, and I never liked that kind of stuff. Even though I did what they asked me to do, I never liked it, to be honest with you.
Well, sounds like the demand of what coaches asked for you was tough, without being compassionate or caring.
Yeah, it was all about them. You know, nobody showed compassion for somebody who maybe was injured or struggling or needed some counseling. It didn't exist. You know, they threw you into a corner and you had to fight your way out of there to survive. And you got talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, they couldn't
Publicly?
do that. No, in the group.
Oh, okay.
There was no newspaper back then. They were talking about you, you know, in the circle.
What was it like, and this, I guess, goes back to the original question, when I guess the tide started to change from those type of coaches and administrators on campus to now you get to the time of yourself, the Dr. Isaac Greggs, the Pete Richardsons, the Ben Jobs, the many more that I don't name, but for you to start to see those type of icons that in that moment you didn't know you were going to be an icon, but all of you guys became icons and became legendary when you talked about Southern University.
Well, in my case, it was to my advantage to be the least of any of them that they thought would be something, because I was nothing. I was just a hanger-on, afterthought, who just happened to keep getting better and better and outworking people, you know what I'm saying? And so it made it easy for me to start so far down and then gradually work my way up, because it was a learning experience for me. I learned a lot of stuff because then I learned what I could deal with and couldn't deal with, and then exposed myself to a situation that was going to be detrimental to me. So that was the beauty of me not being a really good player, but who was going to work and get better and better every year. I mean, it was such a beautiful thing because I could see myself and feel myself getting better. So it kept me motivated to keep working. So by the time I got to be a senior, things really started falling in place.
I'm just still thinking back, what would Roger Cador be if he was not a coach, man? Like,
Well,
I don't know if he would have been.
I don't know what I would have been.
That would have been interesting. You know, I was having to talk with one of the guys, so I officiate football, and we were doing a week 2 playoff game up in Jenner, Louisiana. And on the ride back, you know, it was about 2.5, 3 hour ride, so plenty to talk about. The guy that was in the car with me, he and I had worked together before, but he was retired from the railroad. And he was actually the head guy. He had worked his way up from switching cars to ultimately being the head guy after about 30, 40 years. But we were having a conversation. I said, man, after he told me about these different stories, I said, how did you even get on with the railroad? He said, funny story. At the time, I was working at the store, I think it's Gauchos or something. Gauchos. He said, man, I was in there selling shoes and women clothes. He said, and my cousin asked me to ride and go with him one day to fill out an application to work for the railroad. He said, so when I went in there, my cousin and everybody were doing the application. The lady asked him, did he want an application? He was like, no, I'm good. And she was like, no, here, fill it out. He ends up getting a job and his cousins don't. And then he ultimately has a 30, 40-year career working at the railroad where he retired ultimately, being the top guy.
Going to show you. Things happen in life. This is why God doesn't show you, doesn't tell you what tomorrow holds.
Mm-hmm.
You got me? He wants you to work your way there to see what it holds.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to tell people that all the time. God doesn't give you, he gives you a blueprint, but he ain't telling you what's out there tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You better take care of what's there today. You got me?
I got you.
Yeah, so it's a lesson to be learned. And you know, I tell so many young people, this is why the job that I do with MLB, and they get me to talk to young people, it's so beautiful. Because you talking to young kids all over the country, from all over, different kind of backgrounds. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Some of them have mixed parents. It's all of them in there. And you get to talk to them, and you get to tell them stories. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And some of the kids ask you some tough questions. They ask you some tough questions, which is really good. And that's why I love working with youngsters.
Well, I'm glad you're working with the neurosurgeon and I. We the new youngsters over here. Let's get ready to take a break. We'll come back and continue the conversation. Y'all stay tuned more. Chopping it up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White, all right?
Some Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge. Some don't. The ones that do know BTR is all about being closer, more convenient, with non-stops and short hops to anywhere their business takes them. They also know not flying BTR means more traffic, longer lines, and wasted time. So if it's about going from driveway to runway with a lot less highway, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. It's about time. Smart Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge because BTR is so close and convenient, they're always one step ahead, rather than dead on their feet. So, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
BRAC implemented the Imagine Your Park strategic plan nearly 20 years ago. The results transformed the park system in East Baton Rouge Parish. There are 12 new community parks, 6 dog parks, Liberty Lagoon Water Park, skateboard parks, fishing ponds, a new conservation area in Central, improved playgrounds, and a growing trail system. It's really a lot to keep track of.
So we decided to give you an insider's peek into some of these amazing new community assets through the eyes of the folks who know them best, BRAC's community partners.
My name is Nathaniel Klum, and I am Paddle BR. What I often say I am is chief doer of stuff. The two things that everyone wanted were paddling and trails, and in our case, paddle trails. And so we did a lot of work to make it so that people could get out on the bayou, but without access points, no one can use them. BRAC has been amazing at building paddle launch sites so that we can get out on the water and enjoy everything that Baton Rouge has to offer. Not only are they listening to everything that Imagine Your Parks and Imagine Your Parks 2 that we asked for, but it's actually getting done, which I don't know about you, but that makes me happy every day of the week.
No wonder BRAC is the recipient of the National Gold Medal by the National Recreation and Parks Association. There really is something about East Baton Rouge and national champions. BRAC, #1 and still getting better.
Hey, Coach Roger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg. We just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
With over 60 years of combined experience, Kathy Sherburne and Anna Barnett bring a wealth of knowledge and excitement to the framing industry. Keeping strong to the Louisiana culture, Acadian Frame and Art has numerous local artists and sports team memorabilia for their customers to choose from. Whether is your one-stop picture framing spot. Call 225-927-6129 or go to www.acadianframe.com.
Get the memoir from the legendary baseball coach from Southern University, Roger Cador, Against All Odds. Roger refused to let his past dictate his future by rising to legendary college baseball status. An inspiring story of tenacity, faith, and hope. Against All Odds chronicles Coach Cador's determination to reach higher, to want more, and to dig deeper to find the courage to chase his dreams. Against All Odds. Get yours today by Cador & Cador Publishing. You are now watching Choppin' It Up with Roger Cador and Perry White.
Right, we are back with more Chopping It Up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White. We're going to keep the conversation going. Coach, I called Garrett this morning, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I want your opinion. The first time you looked and saw a gray hair on your head.
Say that again?
What did you think the first time? I was talking to Garrett this morning. I looked in the mirror, and I had a gray hair growing. And then it was like one over here as well. And I had to ask you, when your first time seeing a strand of gray hair on your head, what was your thoughts?
I really didn't think much about it, man. Why would you?
Oh, man, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, what am I doing with gray hair?
Well, I mean, come on, man. You ask me questions I give very little thought to. Mm-hmm. Long as I can get up and be productive, I'm good.
You don't care about the gray hair?
No.
Well,
it's a sign of wisdom. I mean, the Bible talk about it. Gray head is the seed of wisdom. Mm-hmm. So what's wrong with that?
I don't know. It's just these days, they make just for men for a reason, Coach. It's for people who may struggle with looking at gray hair on their head.
Okay, well, there you go. Can we talk about something else?
You don't never want to talk about the life stuff, right? I'm over here looking at life like, why do I have a gray hair? And Coach like, you know what, just keep living.
That's right, man. You'll be all right.
I'll be all right, man. But I just had to ask somebody who was older, the first time you saw a gray strand of hair on your head and was like, oh, here we go. They say don't pluck it, though.
I got you.
Yeah. Coach don't want to entertain my foolishness this morning. You see him, G?
There are too many good things to talk about.
Give me some. I'll talk about what you want to talk about today.
I thought about the football games yesterday. They were pretty good.
Oh, yeah, man. Look, you're talking about the Lions, Detroit Lions winning a postseason game in the playoffs. My God, it just seemed different. They took on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield, and then on the other side, you look at who else played? The Chiefs and the Bills. Yeah, my mind went blank right quick. We were just talking about it as well. The fact that Patrick Mahomes had never been on the road in the playoffs, and he had to go take on Buffalo at Buffalo, right? Probably the two coldest games in the NFL this year was last week with Kansas City, with the Miami Dolphins. I think the wind chill was at -31, Coach.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty bad.
Oh, that's brutal. And then to go up to Buffalo, New York, and it's cold in Buffalo, New York this time of year.
Yeah.
And Kansas City finds a way to get it done. Patrick Mahomes beats the Bills. Then you look over the Detroit Lions, get past Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay. How about who I like the most this year? Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens getting past C.J. Stroud and the Houston, Texas. I'm calling the Texas Rangers. Houston, Texas, and then Brock Purdy and the 49ers getting past Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. Man, it was some great games, coaches.
Yeah, they played pretty competitive, and it shows that how evenly matched the NFL is, especially the 8 teams that was in the playoff here. Mm-hmm. So it's really good to see that. I don't particularly like the cold weather. I can only think about what those people's life are going to be like as they get older, having to play in that kind of condition. But it is what it is. They're making money, and they think it's It is what it is. So, and they're giving us a form of entertainment that we like. We love football entertainment in this country.
Coach, you got to be a real damn fan to go sit in minus 31 weather.
Or a damn fool. Let me put it that way. You're a fan of damn fool. You know, when you could sit in your living room and watch it on TV.
I mean, listen.
But I know people say the experience of being there, they can talk to their grandkids. If you're damn alive, you can.
I was looking at someone was at the Kansas City game, and they had a beer, and the beer had froze over completely. And one of my boys up there, he supports Kansas City Chiefs, and they go to the games. He said, man, they were almost like trying to give away those tickets. He was like, no way I'm going out there sitting in that weather for a football game. Everybody's going to come over to the house. So I can only imagine. You got to be a diehard, especially this time of year, to go out and sit in that type of weather for a football game.
I'd never seen, I was in 1981 at the time. It was 82. And we had gone, after practice, going to a McDonald's. The kids wanted McDonald's. And a drink fell. And by the time it hit the floor, it was frozen. I had never seen anything like it. That was in Omaha, Bugaha.
It get cold in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah, and this was in December. So,
Oh man.
I was in Omaha in February for the Hall of Fame induction.
Yep.
And it was cold then. It was 16 below.
You coming up on a year
Yeah.
in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, the last one. I may go back. It's going to be in Kansas City this year. I'm thinking about going.
Oh, man, take me. I'll be your +1. I love Kansas City, particularly Kansas City barbecue. I love Kansas City. Are you going to go to the Negro League Museum up that way?
Yeah. Well, I'll go there and not go. I've been there, but
Yeah.
I'll go again,
Let's look at the NFL. You talk about quarterbacks. You look at those games. Jared Goff with the Lions right now playing some pretty good football. Lamar Jackson for the Baltimore Ravens playing some pretty good football. Brock Purdy for the San Francisco 49ers playing some pretty good football. And how about Patrick Mahomes? I thought it was over with for him, but then Patrick Mahomes coming in pretty strong for Kansas City. When you look at those four guys leading their team, which one of them stand out the most to you, if any, between Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, Lamar Jackson, and as well as missing one, Patrick Mahomes?
Well, Lamar Jackson looked like the one that is really devastating. I think, he and the quarterback for Buffalo.
Josh Allen.
Yeah, were the two dominant people, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to tackle them.
Yeah.
That's what I see. So, but Lamar Jackson, and they're playing great defense. I think San Francisco is going to have some issues because of the injuries on the defensive side of the ball. Got a lot of injuries. So that could hurt them when they play Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
And Kansas City and Baltimore is going to be a great game because Baltimore has a great defense. And we'll have to see. Kansas City got some nicks. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
All right, I need some winners from you because now we're talking about going to the Super Bowl. Who you think wins between the Detroit Lions and the San Francisco 49ers? Give me a winner.
I really think Detroit can upset them.
Mm-hmm.
They play an aggressive style of football.
Mm-hmm.
And as I mentioned, San Francisco have a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. And then you look at Lamar Jackson. He's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, the Ravens versus the Chiefs, man. That's going to be a hell of a game,
and
Coach.
The fact that their defense is so good. Plus, Kansas City got some people on the defensive side of the ball who are not healthy. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I sort of like Baltimore and Detroit.
So you think it could be a Baltimore-Detroit
Well,
Super
it
Bowl?
doesn't really matter to me, but you're asking me to pick.
Don't tell me it doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm asking.
well,
and so, you see, for you see Baltimore and Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to jump off the Mississippi River Bridge.
Yeah.
If the team I'm talking about don't win. I probably bet $5.
I will. I bet 27 cents if I have to.
I could believe that.
Yeah. Look, the thing about it is I bet what they call the lottery parlays, right? Where it's a 15 to 10 leg parlay, but you kind of going out of the realm of the typical throw touchdowns in this particular game, and that's where I go with. And then I may do the over under or the spread as well.
Man, I don't know nothing about gambling.
That's good. You stay away from it. Somebody asks on there, has SU's baseball schedule been posted yet? Have you seen SU's baseball schedule?
Can't tell you.
He's retired, so, I mean, do you know how hard it is? I be trying to get coaches to even talk about Southern University baseball, and if we do, we're going to probably step back into the 90s right quick. Speaking of Southern University baseball, when you used to make your schedule or go through your schedule, what did you look for as a schedule came out each and every year?
When you say as it came out, what you mean?
Like when you go through, did you have any decision-making when it came to making a schedule?
No, I pretty much played most of the same teams every year. All it did was predicated on the budget.
Yeah.
I had a $20,000 budget, okay?
So you never decided on what teams you wanted to see on your schedule besides the conference games?
And the teams in the Louisiana that we were going to play.
Okay.
I mean, that was all that's going to happen. I couldn't look outside of that. So it was a pretty basic situation, you know.
And that's why you say because of that budget, you had to stay local. You couldn't just be trying to travel and go everywhere.
Right. And, you know, so that's basically what I did. I stayed as local as I could. Nickel State, McNeese, UL, LSU, New Orleans. Mm-hmm. And, you know, so that's basically what we were doing.
Yeah. That's Jeremiah Clark that asked that question. He's a huge fan of you. He loves Southern baseball and loves baseball. So when I normally do on the other show, the Jaguar Journal, I talk baseball, but I do it so early in the show. He normally comes in. The show starts at about 7. I do baseball. That's one of the first things. He gets on there about 8 o'clock saying, hey, we talk baseball yet? And it's like, man, that was an hour ago. So the fact I got him here with you, now we got to talk a little baseball.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, I did talk to Chris about his schedule. Mm-hmm. I did have a heart-to-heart. I said, what benefit is it? You traveling halfway around the country to go play schools that's going to beat you. Mm-hmm. For what? What are you going to get out of it? And I said, you got to understand there are crazy fans out there and people who start talking, oh, you're losing all these games.
I guess I might be one.
You know, and this is what happens. I said, trim that schedule down. It doesn't, need 56 games, man. I played 42, 44 games. And to get in the NCAA tournament, you got to win your conference anyway.
So 2 things I talked to Coach Crenshaw about. One was I have been critical of him when it comes to the idea of those non-conference victories. They play those midweek games, and when I look back at it for the past 2 years, and this will be coming into year 3, Southern had not beaten a Division I opponent outside of its conference schedule but one time, and that was in a 3-game series, and they won Game 1 against UTSA. And I was critical of them because I then wanted to know what was the mindset when you go into those midweek games to go in and get wins. And what he said, well, those midweek games, we use those as the developmental games because I'm typically going to save my best talent for the weekend games because they go back to what you said. I got to win my conference. That's what matters at the end of the day. But I just felt like when you get those midweek games, whether it's against a McNeese or Northwestern, Southeastern, UNO, they just got their mind made up. They not finna lose to Southern. And it's like, what do we have to do in order to get in position to get those type of victories in those midweek games and not just treat them like a practice game?
Those games are getting tougher and tougher to win. When back in the days we could beat them. Now they're getting tougher to win because don't have the depth in the pitching. You got me? Which is where it all starts. Whatever Chris have, he's got to save those pitches for the weekend. And so that creates a major problem for him. So, the fans don't understand. They just look like wins and losses. That's what they look at. So
That's what you judged upon.
Well, there you go. So
the game is of wins and losses. And, when you look at the non-conference, and I tell people all the time, I get excited when I see those non-conference victories because the conference teams. You play them all the time. You're never going to miss with the conference teams. But it feels good to brag a little different when you beat somebody out of conference.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? You beat LSU.
Yeah, but it was different.
No, it wasn't different, man. It was, if anything, it probably was harder. That had to be one hell of a feeling.
They were number one.
Was that Skip Berkman at the time?
Yeah.
What you guys, when you walked out and shook hands, what was it said right there?
I don't remember.
Yeah, great. See, those were memorable moments, Coach.
Well, but to you they are.
Yeah.
To me, it's another day on the job, man. I ain't got time. Man, I often said, and I had a wife who helped me to see things in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
About as it relates to sport and the thing. She said that doesn't mean a whole lot at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so I started looking at life different because it's true. I can't take those victories to a bank and get a loan.
But you can take them and get a contract extension. You can't take them and get a raise.
Oh, yeah.
Look, that can't go to the bank then, can't you, G? It works.
I never use them to get a contract. You know what? You mentioned that. I never used that to get a contract extension.
They probably just did it.
Well, yeah, I did get a raise, but it was basic stuff back then.
When you got your first contract, what was the time frame on it? Was it a 3-year or was it kind of like an agreement to where it didn't have any years?
No, let me tell you. For so many years, we coached with a personnel action form. That was your contract.
Really?
Yeah.
That was basically just year to year?
Yeah. Or month to month. No, really. That really was month to month. Because every month you had to sign that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So... And so I remember when Marina Cassim, I think, gave a basketball coach a contract, and I went in and questioned him and talked to him and told him I needed a contract. I needed for security.
Mm-hmm.
And it took 3, 4, 5 months, almost every day talking to him about it, and finally he gave me one. He gave me a 1-year contract.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a contract, which I felt pretty good, even though it was for 1 year. I had a contract. Before I only had 30 days. So
that's
those,
wild, man. That is wild.
Well, those was the parameters you were working under during those days. It was all over in HBCUs, and I'm sure some other schools too. I mean, who was going to give a baseball coach a contract? Who?
What year was this when you went to Marino Castle?
This had to be in the 90s.
Oh, you deserved a contract.
Yeah,
you had already beat Cal State Fullerton, so at that point I gotta lock you down.
Yeah, well, it was after I beat them, but it wasn't because of me beating them that got the contract.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see. Marina took over in 86. I started coaching in baseball in August of 84.
Mm-hmm.
So I was only there a couple of years. I wasn't one of his hired.
Yeah.
And so we won the conference in 87, which helped. And then we won it again in 88. And then we were really building something really special. So I'm thinking it was probably around the 90s I got a contract. I can't remember.
Let's go to the comment sections. Elwin Moore said the non-conference in baseball is different than any other sports. The other sports have the same players playing every game. Baseball has different pitchers on the mound, which changes things. Jeremiah Clark then says he's a JSU fan. All right, so we didn't know Jackson State coach. He said we still need to try and win non-conference games. Why not just go out and get pitching depth in?
If they could, they would. I mean, you don't think they want Jeremiah? They want to get them. They can't. They're not out there for the HBCUs. They're just not there.
And you talking and speaking in terms of African American or black pitchers, right?
Yeah, you're just not there.
Yeah.
Man, they got big schools struggling to find pitchers. And So it's a tough thing. What happens, because baseball is unique, baseball draft take kids out of high school. Some of them now are signing who shouldn't sign.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't sign. They probably should go to college. But they'll sign. And it's just not, and that doing travel ball, summer ball, you're hurting a lot of arms. They're playing, they don't have no downtime. I mean, it's just so difficult.
So are you saying the game of baseball is getting watered down?
Yes. Especially with the pitching part of it.
And it's, you know what's interesting, the fact that you say that. I was listening to an interview the other day, and it was talking about the opportunity that these kids are now getting to be developed. And it was, what is the goddamn? We had him here on the show, the big time hitter.
Gareth Sheffield.
Sheffield, thank you. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of it. He was on there and they was talking to him. He said, you know, if I had that development, maybe I probably would have played shortstop. Yeah, right. But he was saying it was the bat that I swung. That's what kind of excelled. But he said these days, like, you know, the only thing they was talking to me about is the glove. He said now they talking about the footwork. It's the fundamentals and the opportunity that young people now get to have with Major League Baseball players. The fact that you able to even have conversations and to be taught. And he was just saying, you know, the game is different now because the accessibility that these young people have.
It is. And Mr. Jeremiah Clark says, sounds like excuses to me, Coach. It's not excuses, it's fact. The Hatfield and McCoy, no brag, just facts. You come in, Coach Jeremiah. You come in, Coach, and go find them if you think it's excuses. I mean, nobody's got them. That must be a reason, right?
I'm thinking about it because you look at baseball.
You might find each team got 1-2 guys that are decent pitchers. But when I was coaching, and we had really good teams, pitching was one area that we always liked. Now, I had a lot of pitchers drafted, so I was fortunate that I did get a lot of good arms. But what I did, though, I took outfielders and made them pitchers. I signed people who had decent arms, played other position, and then convert them to pitching. So I did talk to Chris about that possibility, that he might have to look that way, find guys with good arms and then convert them to pitching, because I said, I did it. This might be a way to get you an arm or two. And it'll be fresh arms.
Mm-hmm. And just get a few innings out of them. You don't need much, just a few innings. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we made closer out of them guys because then you don't want to stretch them out. You got me?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a way, it's a way. We're going to have to do it. Yeah.
You see what he says?
4 to 6 years develop a kid because they don't have to worry about draft eligibility. Yeah, but they'll leave with that transfer portal.
Yeah, he said Swag needs to focus more on development.
If like the pitcher from Southern left, he got decent and went to Dallas Baptist.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of his name. The top pitcher they had.
I can't think of his name.
Yeah,
either.
But this is the problem. You fix. It's just like a bag got one hole. You pass it up and then a hole come up somewhere else. This thing is never, man. With this transfer portal, you know how many kids everybody gets in there. And the same thing happened to Alabama State. Their number one pitcher left and went to Maryland. I mean, if they're decent, they're not staying.
Yeah.
So that's the problem you got, Jeremiah. You fans out there. You fans out there is you all are really tough on us, and that's okay. Because you're a fan. And that's really because I never really got angry with fans because they have opinion, because you're bringing up some good point. If we shut people like you off, we're not going to know your opinion, and you may come up with something really good. And I think what I'm doing is able to give you some information you were not privy to. You know what I'm saying? So now you can formulate things better and make it better.
He's going with you now. He says, so Swag just needs to play intramural baseball. Is that what you're saying?
No, Jeremiah. No, Jeremiah.
Break it down for him, Coach.
Jeremiah, you're getting there. All right, we going. Don't do that.
He like Jackson State, so, I mean, what do you expect, right?
Yeah, you're going. Let's not put him there. No, and like I said, there are some decent players. They're going to be positioned. Hey, listen, I get to help choose the players for the SWAC, the HBCU All-Star game, okay? So we get to make decisions. And the biggest thing when we're making this question was, are we going to be able to have enough pitchers to make this thing work? That's what we're talking about. People with scouts in the room talking. That's what's coming up. Will we have enough pitchers? No, we're talking about the one what's in Seattle. It's going to be in Arlington this year, the HBCU Classic. It'll be in Arlington, Texas. But the one thing, and you know what? We had 3 kids drafted out of the HBCU All-Star game this year. One was a pitcher from over there on the East Coast. Can't think of which school over there, out of MEAC. So, and we had 2 players out of the SWAC drafted. So, let's face it, man, good things are going to happen. Good things are going to happen. I think what is going to happen is going to take parents going to have to play more of a key role. And because parents know more about their kids than the kids know about themselves. And they're going to have to make a decision of where can you go to school and develop. I think HBCUs provide a really good opportunity for that, And so hopefully we can get more and more parents getting their kids to go there. I do talk about that when I talk with the kids at the Henry Aaron invitation that Major League Baseball bring me in to talk to. I try to tell them about experiences, listen to their parents. They don't know everything because the parents know more about them than they do. Parents have failed enough so they can help them avoid some of the failure they've been through.
That's one of the things where I was listening to Gary communities and spend that money to develop young guys, kids at a young age. But he said, now it seems that they'll take that money and go down to one of the islands or to Panama or somewhere and take that to go develop those kids more so than to spend that right here in the very cities that they have programs like a New York, like a Chicago, like a Baltimore, or St. Louis, and spend that money where they can use those millions of dollars to interest the next generation of potential baseball players in the African-American community.
I think Gary Sheffield had a good idea years ago when he told them if they had put $10 million, each owner had put $10 million into the pot, they could have built them in the inner cities. They could have built what they did in the Dominican, in Puerto Rico. And they missed it because they didn't think they had to. And they found out they ended up missing out on that opportunity. And then we lost the African-American kids, We lost them. And it's hard to get them back, the good ones. It's hard to get the good one back. Football it's got them.
Football and basketball.
Yeah, football too, though.
Yeah.
It's got them, man. It's tough to get them away from there.
That is tough. Let's get ready to take a break before we get ready to get out of here and pay some bills. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned more. Chopping Up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White.
Some Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge. Some don't. The ones that do know BTR is all about being closer, more convenient, with non-stops and short hops to anywhere their business takes them. They also know not flying BTR means more traffic, longer lines, and wasted time. So if it's about going from driveway to runway with a lot less highway, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. It's about time. Smart Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge because BTR is so close and convenient, they're always one step ahead, rather than dead on their feet. So, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Take your fun full throttle with a single touch. There are places to fly. BRAC implemented the Imagine Your Park strategic plan nearly 20 years ago. The results transform the park system in East Baton Rouge Parish. There are 12 new community parks, 6 dog parks, Liberty Lagoon Water Park, skateboard parks, fishing ponds, a new conservation area in Central, improved playgrounds, and a growing trail system. It's really a lot to keep track of.
So we decided to give you an insider's peek into some of these amazing new community assets through the eyes of the folks who know them best, BRAC's community partners.
My name is Nathaniel Klum, and I am Paddle BR. What I often say I am is chief doer of stuff. The two things that everyone wanted were paddling and trails, and in our case, paddle trails. And so we did a lot of work to make it so that people could get out on the bayou, but without access points, no one can use them. BRAC has been amazing at building paddle launch sites so that we can get out on the water and enjoy everything that Baton Rouge has to offer. Not only are they listening to everything that Imagine Your Parks and Imagine Your Parks 2 that we ask for, but it's actually getting done, which I don't know about you, but that makes me happy every day of the week.
No wonder BRAC is the recipient of the National Gold Medal by the National Recreation and Parks Association. There really is something about East Baton Rouge and national champions. BRAC, #1 and still getting better.
Hey, Coach Roger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg, we just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
With over 60 years of combined experience, Kathy Sherburne and Anna Barnett bring a wealth of knowledge and excitement to the framing industry. Keeping strong to the Louisiana culture, Acadian Frame and Art has numerous local artists and sports team memorabilia for their customers to choose from. Whether you're creating a gallery-like setting in your office or simply looking for some fun art for your kids' playroom, Acadian Frame and Art is your one-stop picture framing spot. Call 225-927-6129 or go to www.acadianframe.com.
Get the memoir from the legendary baseball coach from Southern University, Roger Cador, Against All Odds. Roger refused to let his past dictate his future by rising to legendary college baseball status. An inspiring story of tenacity, faith, and hope. Against All Odds chronicles Coach Cador's determination to reach higher, to want more, and to dig deeper to find the courage to chase his dreams. Against All Odds. Get yours today by Cador & Cador Publishing. You are now watching Choppin' It Up with Roger Cador and Perry White.
All right, we are back more to Chopping It Up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White. Before we get ready to get out of here, Coach, you got another question for you for Jeremiah Clark. He says, where do typical SWAC kids play during the summer to continue development, Coach?
Well, they play in all kind of leagues that they have across the country. They go in the Midwest and the northern part of the country and play. And some of them in the southern part of the country. So they get good playing time. And there are opportunities for them, so much more than when I was coaching.
Mm-hmm. Nowadays, it seems like it is hard because the conversation just simply goes to that one position in particular, that pitcher. You can find those other guys, but, man, pitching is such a critical part of the game. And it's crazy because you look at the transition. Let's just take football, for example. The black quarterback in football was frowned upon about 20 years ago. Plus that, it was like you had to be this typical white guy, this, that, and everybody else. If you was just an athlete, transition them to a running back or a wide receiver. Basically what they said about Lamar Jackson. But now you see the most important position on the field is starting to be the African-American at the quarterback position. Mm-hmm. It seems the opposite for the pitcher being black in college baseball.
Well, it's tough anywhere.
Yeah.
Nobody want to pitch, and they get hurt, and nobody develop. I mean, it's just tough. Mm-hmm. It's so tough. You already got a small percentage playing the sport of baseball, and then you got even a smaller number who are pitchers,
mm-hmm.
and then you got to go long ways and wide to try and find black pitchers.
What is the toughest development of a pitcher for you when you get a guy and to just watch him grow from that position?
Well, to learn how to pitch and not just be a thrower. Mm-hmm. Have an idea where you're for location, changing speed on the ball, and just the basic fundamentals of how you release the ball. I mean, it's just, and what I used to do is when kids were throwing. See, a lot of coaches don't make that. I said, I want you to throw everything as if it's in the game situation.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you get them better. Don't let them practice something they're never going to use.
It was something you said during the SWAC baseball tournament last year that when you saw pitchers up at the plate, they was just trying to throw heat. And you was like, you don't have to just put the ball where it need to be. Everything don't have to be heat throwing down the plate.
It doesn't. Because what we try to do is tell them, watch batting practice and see how many balls that are right there get hit out the park. It's not going to happen. So you got to sell people on things that are really what they are and help them to see the big picture. You got me?
And Jeremiah, before we get out of here, I don't think it's an argument. He says, why does every pitcher have to be black? Well, we're talking about in particular HBCUs and being able to find that type of pitcher, because if you look at the landscape of HBCU rosters these days, Coach, what are the makeup of them?
Hispanic and white pitchers.
That's it.
So it's that's the makeup. And everybody, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't think people are trying to be discriminative against black pitchers. They just don't exist.
Yeah.
They're a rare breed.
All right, man. We appreciate you guys for tuning in today. We have reached our 1 hour mark. Jeremiah Clark, man, you always welcome to come back in here. We appreciate you, Elwood Moore, and everybody else. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, become a subscriber of this episode and this show so you get that notification every time we go live. And, man, we love to have you guys back for the support. As always, I am Perry White. He's Coach Roger Cador, and my man, the neurosurgeon, Garrett Edgerson. Coach, get us out of here. See y'all next week.